উচ্চতৰ মাধ্যমিক দ্বিতীয় বৰ্ষৰ সমস্ত ছাত্ৰ-ছাত্ৰীকে শুভেচ্ছা জনাইছো। তোমালোকৰ 2022 চনৰ ইংৰাজী কোৱেশ্চন পেপাৰখন সমাধান কৰি থকা হৈছে। তাৰে ফাৰ্ষ্ট পাৰ্ট যথেষ্ট দীঘলীয়া হোৱাৰ কাৰণে দুটা ভাগত ভাগ কৰা হৈছিল। তাৰ ফাৰ্ষ্ট পাৰ্ট ইতিমধ্যে তোমালোকৰ পাইছা। ছেকেণ্ড পাৰ্টটো আজি তোমালোকৰ বাবে লৈ আহিছো। ছেকেণ্ড পাৰ্ট কুৱেশ্চন নম্বৰ 7 পৰা আছিল। 6 নম্বৰ প্ৰশ্নলৈকে ইতিমধ্যে সমাধান কৰা হৈছে। যে 7 নম্বৰ প্ৰশ্নত আছিল rewrite any 5 of the following sentences using the verbs given in brackets in their correct tense form. That means ইয়াত correct tense কৰিব দিছে। যে correct tense কেইটা কৰিব লাগে তোমালোকৰ এইটো খুব মই গুৰুত্ব সহকাৰে বাৰে বাৰে কৈ থকাৰ কাৰণ হৈছে বহুতে কি কৰা any 5 থাকিলেও 6টা লিখি দিয়া 7টা লিখি দিয়া যাতে হেতু নকৰা তাৰ কাৰণে এই প্ৰশ্নখন খুব ভালকৈ চাবা কেইটা লিখিব দিছে। So rewrite any 5 of the following sentence যিকোনো 5টাৰ correct tense কৰিব লাগে। So আমি ইয়াত গুটেইকেইটাৰে সমাধান কৰি দিম কিন্তু তোমালোকে পৰীক্ষাত লিখোতে 5টাৰ হে কৰিবা ঠিক আছে। Question number A, she talked to her neighbor when the baby began to cry. When থাকিলে কি হয় past continuous tense হয় গতিকে past continuous tenseত লিখি দিছো। She was talking to her neighbor when the baby began to cry. Question number B, I see him a week ago. Ago শব্দটো থাকিলে আমি কি কৰো past indefinite tenseত ব্যৱহাৰ কৰো বা simple past. So I saw him a week ago. Question number C, if you try hard you would have succeeded. You would have succeeded. Yes, you would have succeeded. The conditional বাক্য হয় আৰু এনেকৈ would have আৰু মূল ভাৱটো যদি past participleত থাকে তেতিয়াহলে আমি কি কৰো আগত had ব্যৱহাৰ কৰো। If you had tried hard you would have succeeded. We reached the station after the train leave. So after অতীত কালৰ দুটা কাম অগাপিছাকৈ দেখুৱাৰ কাৰণে যদি after বা before শব্দ থাকে তেতিয়াহলে আমি past perfectত লিখো। after শব্দটোৰ পিছত past perfect হয় আৰু যদি before থাকে তেলে before শব্দটোৰ আগত past perfect হয়। ইয়াত after আছে গতিকে তাৰ পিছত we reached the station after the train had left. ঠিক আছে। Question number E, he make a doll now. Now শব্দটো থাকিলে আমি present continuousত লিখো। 2019 চনত এই প্ৰশ্নটো আহিছিল গতিকে প্ৰশ্ন কি হয় ৰিপিটটো হয়। He is making a doll now. I wish I be a bird. 2019 চনত এই প্ৰশ্নটো আহিছিল আৰু 22ত আহিছে। That means repeat হৈছে। So I wish থাকিলে ভাৰ্বটো past formত নিব লাগে কিন্তু be আছে কাৰণে আমি were ব্যৱহাৰ কৰিম real past. I wish I were a bird. I do a lot of work today. 2017 চনত এই প্ৰশ্নটো আহিছিল মানে 22 আৰু 17 ইয়াত চন কেইটা লিখি দিয়াৰ কাৰণ হৈছে 22তটো আহিছেই 22ৰ উপৰি কোন কেইটা চনত আহিছিল হেকেইটাহে লিখা আছে ইয়াত। I do a lot of work today. আজি মই বহুত কাম কৰিলো। এনে সেন্টেন্স বিলাকত আমি কি কৰো I do a lot of work today তেনেকে থাকিলে আমি present perfect tenseত ব্যৱহাৰ কৰো। I have done a lot of work today. H, she come here the day after tomorrow. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, future tense. She will come here the day after tomorrow. Question number I, she read the novel for the last 3 days. For the last 3 days. For the last 3 days আছে যোৱা 3 দিন ধৰি for থাকিলে কি হয় present perfect continuous tense হয়। She has been reading the novel for the last 3 days. Question number 8, rewrite any 4 of the following sentences filling in the blanks with appropriate preposition. এবাৰ preposition আহিছে আৰু 8 নম্বৰ প্ৰশ্নত preposition থাকে আৰু prepositionৰ any 4 কৰিব দিছে। Number A, I am very much interested dash your story. So I am very much interested in your story. The police ran dash the thief. Police ran after the thief. He has no money dash him. He has no money with him. She takes pride dash her wealth. She takes pride in her wealth. I wonder if you could get it dash done dash tomorrow. Tomorrow থাকলে বাই হ'ব। F, cut the roof dash a knife. 2020 চনত পাইছিল এই প্ৰশ্নটো। Cut the roof with a knife. Question number G. India is rich dash minerals. 2019 চনত এই প্ৰশ্নটো আহিছিল. They are rich in minerals. Prepositional last question is one must abide dash one's promise. Abide by মানে হৈছে মানি চলা. Rewrite any four of the following sentences as directed. Any four as directed দিছে মানে ইয়াত কি কৰিব লাগে মই transformation of sentence. Transform কৰিব লাগিব sentence এক প্ৰকাৰৰ sentence পৰা আৰু এক বেলেগ প্ৰকাৰলৈ. Is this the kind of dress to wear in school? Make it assertive sentence. Interrogative sentence. এই interrogative sentence টোক আমি কি কৰিব লাগে assertive sentence ত পৰিণত কৰিব লাগে. So is this the kind of dress to wear in school? এনে ধৰণৰ পোছাক স্কুলত পিন্ধেনে? ইয়াৰ অৰ্থ হৈছে এনে ধৰণৰ. To make it assertive sentence. Assertive কৰিলে কি হ'ব? This is not the kind of dress to wear in school. ঠিক আছে? Question number B. He worked hard to pass the examination. Make it a complex sentence. Complex কৰিব দিছে ইয়াত. Complex কৰিলে কি হ'ব? He worked hard so that শব্দ আমি conjunction টো ব্যৱহাৰ কৰিছো so that he can pass the examination. এটা complex কেনেকৈ কৰে assertive কেনেকৈ কৰে বা এই transformation of sentence ৰ কাৰণে যদি detail explanation লাগে তেতিয়াহলে description boxত তাৰ ভিডিও আছে চাই লবা সম্পূৰ্ণৰূপে বুজিবলৈ সুবিধা হ'ব. Kindly do me a favor. Add a tag question. Kindly do me a favor. ইয়াত এক tag question কৰিব লাগে. Tag question কেতিয়াবা আহে. So kindly do me a favor. Want you মানে imperative sentence থাকিলে আমি কি কৰোঁ want you ব্যৱহাৰ কৰোঁ. Atul is the best boy in the class. Change it into positive degree. Positive কৰিব লাগে. Atul আমাৰ ক্লাছৰ আটাইতকৈ ভাল ল'ৰা. No other boy is as good as Atul in the class. I shall remember your kindness forever. Make it negative without changing the meaning. তো নেগেটিভ কৰিব লাগিব অথচ অৰ্থৰ পৰিৱৰ্তন হ'ব নালাগিব. ঠিক আছে? তোমালোকৰ পৰীক্ষাত যিবিলাক নেগেটিভ আহে যদি ব্ৰেকেটত লিখা নাথাকেও উইদাউট চেঞ্জিং দ্য মিনিং আচলতে কিন্তু উইদাউট চেঞ্জিং দ্য মিনিঙেই নেগেটিভ কৰিব লাগে. I shall remember your kindness forever. I shall never forget your kindness. The অৰ্থ কি থাকিলে কিন্তু Everybody wishes to be happy. Make it interrogative. Everybody wishes to be happy. Make it interrogative. Interrogative কৰিব লাগে. Who does not wish to be happy? On seeing the lion, he ran away. Make it a compound sentence. So it's a compound sentence কৰিব আহিছে. তাৰ পিছত complex কৰিব আহিছে. মানে এনে ধৰণৰ simple কৰিব অৱশ্যে এতিয়ালৈকে দেখা নাই কিন্তু এনে ধৰণৰ এই সেন্টেন্সৰ যিকেইটা আছে simple complex আৰু compound তাৰে বেছি অহা দেখা যায়. এই সম্পূৰ্ণ ট্ৰান্সফৰমেশন অফ সেন্টেন্সৰ ভিডিও তোমালোকৰ ডেসক্ৰিপচন বক্সত পাবা অলপ মন্দিৰ তাত এক্সপ্লেইন কৰি থোৱা আছে ভালকৈ চাই লবা. He saw the lion and ran away. এবাৰ আমি সেকশন ডি টেক্সট বুকলৈ যাওঁ. ইয়াত 45 মাৰ্ক থাকে. তোমালোকে জানা যে কবিতাৰ প্ৰশ্নবিলাকত কি কৰা হয় কেৱটা লাইন উঠাই দিয়া হয় আৰু সেই কবিতাৰ লাইন কেইটাৰ পৰা প্ৰশ্ন সোধা হয়. এই প্ৰশ্নটো এই লাইন কেইটা কেৱল 2022 চনত অহাই নহয় 2015 আৰু 2017 চনত হৈছিল. দ্যাট মিন্স ৰিপিট হৈছে. কোৱেশ্চন খিনি চাওঁ. What are the different kinds of words mentioned by the poet in the passage? কি ধৰণৰ ওয়ার্ড যুদ্ধৰ কথা কোৱা হৈছে? The poet mentioned green words against environment, that is human destroying trees. Wars with gas, pollution caused by industries and factories, and wars with fire. That means wars fought with deadly firearms over the country and land. এইখিনি যুদ্ধৰ কথা ইয়াত কোৱা আছে. অৱশ্যে এই প্ৰশ্নটো 2 মাৰ্কৰ কাৰণেও লিখি থোৱা আছে. তোমালোকৰ যদি 1 মাৰ্ক আহে তেতিয়াহলে অকল গ্ৰীণ ওয়াৰ তাৰ পিছত wars with gas আৰু wars with fire বুলি এই তিনটা শব্দ লিখিলেও 1 মাৰ্ক পাবা. 2 মাৰ্কৰ কাৰণে লিখি থৈছো দি থোৱা আছে. অকমান বহলাই শিকি থলে তোমালোকৰ ভালে হ'ব নিশ্চয়. What kind of victory do they achieve? তেওঁলোকে কেনে ধৰণৰ জয় লাভ কৰিব? They achieve victory where there is nobody to enjoy the victory. That means victory with no survivors. এই শব্দটো খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট, victory with no survivors মনত ৰাখিবা, victory with no survivors, এনে জয় যি জয় এনজয় কৰিবৰ কাৰণে কোনো জীয়াই নাথাকিব। What should the warmongers do? warmongers সকলে যুদ্ধপ্ৰিয় ব্যক্তিসকলে কি কৰা উচিত? The warmongers should stop fighting and put on new clothes of peace and harmony and walk in the shade of brotherhood. Find the words in the phrases that mean those left alive and win. So those left alive is survivor and win means victory. 11 নম্বৰ প্ৰশ্নত answer any 3 of the following questions in 30-40 word. 30টাৰ পৰা 40টা শব্দৰ ভিতৰত লিখিব লাগে এই প্ৰশ্নখিনি। ইয়াত যিকোনো তিনিটা প্ৰশ্ন উত্তৰ কৰিব লাগে। 2 মাৰ্ককে থাকে, টোটাল 6 নম্বৰ থাকিব। Describe the things that cause suffering and pain mentioned by kids in A Thing of Beauty. সেইখিনি বস্তুৰ কথা বৰ্ণনা কৰিব দিছে কবিয়ে যিখিনি মানুহক কি কৰে, suffering cause কৰে, মানুহৰ বেদনাৰ দুখৰ কাৰণ হয়। Things that causes suffering and pain mentioned by kids in A Thing of Beauty are, যিকেইটা বস্তুৱে মানুহক নিৰানন্দ দিয়ে সেই বস্তুকেইটা হৈছে despondency, হতাশা, that is disappointment, অসন্তুষ্টি, dejection or pessimism মানে নিৰাশাবাদ, depression, sadness, unhealthy or unfair ways taken by human beings to acquire their goal which create so many pains and sufferings. কেতিয়াবা কি কৰা হয়, unhealthy or unfair way টেক কৰা হয়, বা কেতিয়াবা নিজৰ উদ্দেশ্য সফলৰ বাবে মানুহে কি কৰে unhealthy বা unfair means অৱলম্বন কৰে। আৰু সেই নিজৰ স্বাৰ্থ সিদ্ধিৰ বাবে যেতিয়া মানুহে unfair means অৱলম্বন কৰে আৰু সেই unfair meansৰ পৰা মানুহৰ কি হয়, নিৰানন্দৰ সীমা নাথাকে। সেই গোটেইখিনি কথাক কবি ইয়াত বৰ্ণনা কৰিছে। That poet also feels a scarcity of noble soul in the world. কবিয়ে আৰু এটা বস্তু ফিল কৰিছে, আৰু এটা কথা তেখেতে অনুভৱ কৰিছে, আৰু সেয়া হৈছে পৃথিৱীত noble natureৰ অভাৱ, noble soulৰ অভাৱ। What childhood fear did Kamala Das refer to in the poem? How did she hide it? The poet's mother's separation from her, or poet's mother's death, was the childhood fear of the poet. She hid it simply by smiling in front of her mother, so that mother remained unaware about it. What is the significance of the parting word of the speaker and her smile in My Mother at 66? The parting words, "See you soon, Amma," suggests that the poet wished to meet her mother again, but she is not sure whether it would be possible or not. Though the poet's heart wept, but she smiled and thus tried to hide her inner fear of imminent loss of her mother. What is the sadness that the poet refers to in the poem Keeping Quiet? 2014, 2015, 2020 আৰু 2022 ৰিপিট হৈ আছে এই প্ৰশ্নটো। By sadness, the poet refers to people's utter failure of understanding themselves. Their madly rash activities are inviting an undesirable fate to them. So he emphasized upon keeping quiet and thus introspect their own activities. Question number 5. According to Pablo Neruda, what important lesson can the earth teach us? According to Pablo Neruda, earth can teach us very important lesson. The earth teaches us that apparent stillness is also productive. She continues to work even in utter silence. The nurturing nature of the earth teaches us that it continues to work and everything comes to life again. Why do the people who are running the roadside stand ask for some city money? 2015 চনতো এই প্ৰশ্নটো আহিছিল, 22 আহিছে। The people who are running the roadside stand ask for some city money so that they can make a little change in their life. At least they can afford a few essential things for livelihood and thus lead a life of happiness. Question number 7. What increases continuously in A Thing of Beauty? 2018 চনতে এই প্ৰশ্নটো আহিছিল আৰু 22 আহিছে। As stated by John Keats in the poem, loveliness always increases in A Thing of Beauty. As a beautiful thing is a joy forever, so it increases happiness, pleasure, and enjoyment for a long time, and it never becomes worthless. Question number 12. Answer any 5 of the following questions. 1 কে থাকবে 5টা প্রশ্ন, ফুল মার্ক হইছে 5. How long did M. Hamel teach in his school? স্কুলত কিমান দিন পঢ়াইছিল? M. Hamel taught for 40 years in the school. Where does Mukesh live? Mukesh live in Firuzabad. Spelling to Sabah Firuzabad. বহুতে ভুল করা. What does Sahib look for in the garbage dumps? 2016 চনত এই প্ৰশ্নটো আহিছিল. Garbage dumpত Sahibe কি বিচাৰে? Sahib looks for coins, rupee notes, or any other useful things which is like gold to him. Whom did Gandhi and Shukla propose to meet at Patna? 2013 চনত আহিছিল, 22 আহিছে. Gandhi and Shukla proposed to meet Rajendra Prasad at Patna. Who is Derek? 2019 চনত এই প্ৰশ্নটো আহিছিল. Derek is Sophie's younger brother. What does Sophie want to have when she grows up? Sophie wants to have a boutique when she grows up. Name the book from which Memoirs of a Chota Sahib has been taken. 2016 আর 19 চনতে এই প্ৰশ্নটো আহিছিল. Memoirs of a Chota Sahib has been taken from the book A Chota Sahib, Memoirs of a Forest Officer. Why did Gandhi visit Lucknow in 1916? 2020 আর 13 এই প্ৰশ্নটো আহিছিল. Gandhi visited Lucknow in December 1916 to attend the annual convention of Indian National Congress. What is the name of the blacksmith in the last lesson? The name of the blacksmith in the last lesson is Wachter. What is the great trouble with Alsace? The great trouble with the people of Alsace is that they put their learning pending for next day. Answer any 5 in 30-40 word. এখানে prose 30-40 wordৰ ভিতৰত লিখিবলগীয়া প্ৰশ্ন, যিকোনো 5টা কৰিব লাগে. Question number 13 ত আহে. What lesson do you learn from the story The Last Lesson? We learn mainly 2 things from the story Last Lesson. Longing to learn a mother tongue, love for it, and patriotism. We should realize the importance of something before we lose it. What kind of person was Geoff? Geoff is an important character in the story. He is Sophie's elder brother. He is an apprentice mechanic who left school 3 years ago. He speaks less and walks more. He is the only one who listens to Sophie's fantasy. Geoff does not entertain wild dreams like his sister. Sophie envies his life of freedom. Why did Jansi feel sad hearing about Sophie's dream? Sophie was an unrealistic girl who had unattainable dreamy vision. She dreamed to own a boutique, become an actress, and even to be a fashion designer. On the other hand, Jansi, who was a practical girl, knew that Sophie was fit to work in biscuit factory and would never be able to fulfill her unrealistic dreams. So she felt sad hearing Sophie's unattainable dream. Why was Professor Malkani's action of offering shelter to Gandhi extraordinary? 2020 চনত এই প্ৰশ্নটো আহিছিল. Professor Malkani was a government employee. On the other hand, Gandhi came to Muzaffarpur to fight for the peasant against government. A government employee giving shelter to a man who fights against government was not considered normal in those days. So it was of course extraordinary. Who was John Rowntree? John Rowntree was the last British senior conservator of Forest of Assam in designation. He is the author of the lesson Memoirs of a Chota Sahib. He is called Chota Sahib in the lesson. Question number C. What character of the north bank of Brahmaputra did John Rowntree refer to? According to John Rowntree, north bank of the Brahmaputra has peculiar characteristics. It was best important in rainy season because it was hotbed of malaria. Was Sahib happy with this at tea stall? Naiva, is Sahib happy walking at the tea stall? Why? Sahib was not happy with the job at the tea stall. Sahib was master of his own work when he used to pick rags. His master knew more, although he gets rupees 800 per month, but he is now a servant and has to work under a boss. So Sahib is not happy now. What would friends love to do on that sunny morning instead of going to school? Friends would love to enjoy the tempting outside environment like fine weather, drilling of Prussian soldiers behind the sawmill, and chipping of bird on that sunny morning instead of going to school. Question number 14, anyone. দুটা প্ৰশ্ন দিয়া থাকে তাৰে যিকোনো এটা কৰিব লাগে আখিৰ পৰা 100টা শব্দৰ ভিতৰত লিখিব লাগে long question. Describe the Bengal makers in Firozabad. How does the BCS circle of the Sahukars, the middlemen, never allow them to come out of their poverty? There's a প্রশ্ন The Bengal makers of glass Bengal factories in Firozabad are illegally engaged in their work, not provided good human conditions. They have to work in small dirty rooms in absence of fresh air and proper light, in high temperature, with glass furnaces, and even without proper wages. As a result, they lose eyesight at an early age. They are entrapped in a vicious circle of middlemen, sahukars, policemen, bureaucrats, and the politicians from which they cannot dare to come out. They do not dare to organize themselves in fear of that vicious circle. Time changes many things, but poverty of Firozabad remains same. How different was the atmosphere at school on the day of the last lesson? The atmosphere at the school on the day of the last lesson was quite different from usual. Unlike other school days, it was quite silent like Sunday morning. There were no hustle and bustle of opening and closing of benches, lesson repeated in unison, and teachers wrapping of ruler on the table. The teacher, M. Hamel, wore his unusual, the most beautiful dress, green coat, frilled shirt, silk cap, and even his behavior was not usual. The most surprising, unusual thing that friends noticed in the classroom was a lot of beeless people who were sitting on the back benches with the students. M. Hamel did not scold friends that day. One was very attentive in the class. Answer any one of the following questions in 125 to 150 words. 7 mark thake here. To Bistas Sorpura question 2. What are the similarities in the lives of Bama and Zitkalasa, though they belong to their respective situations? The situations in the lives of Zitkalasa and Bama has similarities. Though the two belong to their respective situations, but both have a lot in common as far as the suffering is concerned. Zitkalasa was a victim of cultural invasion, where her own cultural identity was being threatened, and Bama was a victim of untouchability, a struggle for class. Zitkalasa's long hair was cut against her will, protest and tradition. She felt anguished and indignant. She felt like an animal where there were none to help, even to console her. Bama belonged to Tamil Indian, who was considered as Dalit. She was not allowed to meet with the upper caste people. They were not allowed to touch food items which are meant for upper class people. Social discrimination was dominant in her society. Both Zitkalasa and Bama fought the existing circumstances with courage and determination, and ended the prejudice, discrimination, and oppression. Or, question B, give an elaborate account of the celebration associated with Uruka, the important of Mag Bihu. There's a Bisanodev Prasna Raisin. An elaborate account of the celebration associated with Uruka, the important of Mag Bihu, has been given below. Bihu is one of the major festivals of Assam. Mag Bihu or Bogali Bihu is the Bihu of enjoyment. Uruka is an important part of Mag Bihu. It is held on the eve of Mag Bihu. The day is preparation day for the women for the next day, and they prepare chira, pitha, laru, curd, etc. People enjoy feast with fish and meat at that night, either with family or with community. One of the One of the important core of Uruka is to build mazes, temple-shaped structures, and velagers, hut-like structures. Earlier, some cowherds enjoyed feast in the velagers, sometimes stealing eatables from the village. But nowadays, people arrange family feast or community feast in the velagers. Next day, the mazes are and velagers are put on fire with some traditional rituals in the name of Agnidev, the god of fire. Thus, the importance of Uruka, a special part of Magh Bihu, has been discussed. Answer any four of the following questions in 30-40 words. Any four? What did the astrologer foretell when the Tiger King was born? 2017 এই প্রশ্ন রয়েছে। When the Tiger King was born, the astrologer foretold that the newly born royal baby would grow up to become a brave hero. At the same time, he predicted that the infant was born in out of bull and therefore would die because of tiger. Who was Dr. Sadao? Where was his house? Dr. Sadao Hoki was one of the best doctors in Japan, a scientist and a good human being. His house was on a coast of a small island in the island country Japan. Who was Hana? What did she notice coming out of the mist? Hana was Dr. Sadao Hoki's wife. She noticed something black coming out of the mist. Actually, it was a severely wounded American soldier. What is the significance of Velagur? The Velagur holds immense cultural significance. Velagur is a temporary night shelter made with green bamboo, hay, dry grass, dry banana leaves, etc. to celebrate cultural festivities, usually young boys. The structure is hut-shaped, which is used as community feast hall at Uruka the night before Bhogali Bihu. How did Annan explain the elder's action to Bama? 2016 সনত এই প্রশ্ন রয়েছে। Annan explained to the narrator about the elder man's action to Bama. He explained that he belonged to a lower caste family, a community. The upper caste people shows no respect for his caste. They are regarded as untouchable and so they do not make friends with him. So he kept himself away from the upper caste people. Why and how did Derry enter Mr. Lamb's garden? Though the gate of Mr. Lamb's garden is always open, but Derry entered into the garden by climbing over the garden wall. He had no bad intention, but actually he wanted to hide himself from people because he had a burned face. Why did Derry go back to Mr. Lamb in the end? Derry was impressed by the optimistic thought, motivating talks, positive attitude and inspiration from Mr. Lamb. This helped Derry change his attitude towards life and learned how to lead a life of which, in spite of deformity and disfigures in life. So Derry went back to Mr. Lamb in the end. Why was Jitkalasa terrified when Jadwin told her that her hair would be cut short? When Jadwin, Jitkalasa's friend, told her that her hair would be cut short, she got terrified because she knew that shingled hair is a sign of anguish and indignity and slavery for Jitkalasa. Her idea regarding short shingled hair was that only unskilled warriors who were captured had their hair cut by the enemy. Her mother taught her that shingled hair was worn only by cowards.